Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so happy to be back with another video, this time for Alex Syberia Designs, the YouTube hub. We are celebrating a new Alex Syberia Designs release, which is always exciting, and I am showing a card that I made with my favorite product from the release, and that is this one. It's the Avian Allure product suite. This is the large stamp set. There is a coordinating die set and a coordinating stencil set as well. I'm going to start by stamping this large stamp on a panel that is slightly larger than A2. This will just not fit on an A2 panel. It's a little bit taller, and especially if you want to die cut it afterwards, you're better going to use a slightly larger panel. So I'm using Nina Solar White cardstock, and I'm stamping this in Versamark ink. I am going to stamp this twice just to make sure I have a really nice impression. Especially with see-through ink, it's always better to just stamp twice just to be sure. But usually when I'm using a Misty, why not stamp twice? It's in there anyway. And yeah, it's just going to intensify your lines a little bit. I'm going to sprinkle that with the metallic brass embossing powder from WOW. This is a beautiful warm gold embossing powder. It's a little bit on the pinkish side, which is why I love it. Just a tint. It's not actually pink, but it's just that little rosy color to it if you tilt it just right. I'm going to heat set that as well with the WOW Jewel Speed Heat Tool. I always use the second setting. It's a little hotter and it's a little bit more powerful, so it's going to melt your embossing powder a little bit quicker. Now, before I start stenciling, I tape everything in place really nicely so it's not going to move on me. I have taped my stamped and embossed panel onto a piece of laminated white cardstock. I always use a piece of laminated white cardstock while ink blending. It's just nice to have a slick surface to work on, and this is something you can easily make at home. And then I also tape my stencils in place, each layer, and I also use masking tape or painter's tape to mask off some images that I don't want to ink blend in pink in this case. So there are leaves on the same image that I don't want to color pink, so I put a piece of tape over them to cover them, and later on I will move the tape. I will add the tape to the pink parts that I don't want to color green, and I will do my ink blending for the green color then. So I usually mask off something because I really only use one size of blending brushes, and it is the larger or the large-ish size. There are larger blending brushes, but I don't really like using the detail blending brushes. I don't think they blend nicely, or I can't work with them anyway. So this is just the way I do it. If you want to avoid painter's tape and you can blend with the smaller brushes, that will save you some tape, so that's an option as well. This is the green I'm using. This is the lemongrass. I think that's what the color is called. I was gonna call out this color because it's one of my favorite from the Concord 9th inks, and then I just forgot the name, but I think it's lemongrass. Yeah, and then you just repeat this for all the stencil layers. Now, what I usually do with layering stencils is I intensify the color that I already blended with each layer that I add. So I've already used a really pale pink and a really pale peachy tone from Concord 9th for the first layer, and now I'm moving on to a not so pale pink. These colors are still quite light because I wanted to, well, it's not a monochromatic card, but I wanted the colors of the bird to be the same colors as the flowers, but I still want the bird to stand out. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to keep the flowers very light, very airy. It's very pale colors, very pastel in the end, and the bird is going to be not so pastel. It's going to have some really bold pinks and oranges in there, a lot bolder and a lot darker than the flowers. So that is how that bird is going to be the focal point of this bouquet that I'm creating. I'm a huge fan of bold colors, so that is why I wanted to point this out, because I don't usually use these super pale ink colors, or I don't usually keep my ink blending that pale when I'm doing flowers. I love a good bold flower as well. Now this third stencil layer does have a ton of detail for the flowers, and these are just really tiny details, so I am going to add a little bit of a darker pink there, but still it is not as dark as the pink I'm adding to that bird. And I'm going to really intensify that pink on that bird as well. I'm going to go over that a couple of times to make sure it's very nice and saturated. While I continue ink blending, I do want to remind you that this is a giveaway, so this is a YouTube hop. You can find all the information in the description, but really all you have to do is leave a comment on each stop of the hop, and that will give you a chance to win one of 4 gift cards. There's one $50 gift card up for grabs and 3 $15 gift cards. So some amazing prizes for the Alex Syberia Designs store. And yeah, I hope you win. Leave a comment, leave 10 comments. Those are 10 chances to win. So have fun with it. Once I'm done, I'm going to cut this out with the coordinating die. It's 1-piece die, and I'm going to arrange that on my background. My background isn't finished yet. And once I'm happy with the arrangement, I'm going to pick that up with some press and seal. This is going to keep all of those pieces in place. I even put a sentiment in there, which is from a new sentiment die set from Alex Syberia Designs, the Thank You and Hello sentiment die set. It's a really great one, good basic sentiments, and I really like the script. Alex Syberia Designs has great scripts and fonts for their sentiments. Yeah, I really love them. For my background, I am using 2 pieces of blue cardstock. The darkest one is going to be actually in the back of it, and then from the lightest piece of blue cardstock, I use the Alhambra Arabesque cover die to cut a really fun, intricate, lacy piece for the background. And I am going to ink blend the edges of both of these panels. I am going to add some darker blue ink blending to the sides, and that is just going to draw the eye inwards to the lighter spots. I always like to do this when your background is looking a little flat, even with a cover die on it. That can be the case. If your background is looking a little bit flat, this is a great way to solve it. It's just a fun little detail to add. Now, this background die is quite intricate. Don't worry about adding glue to every single piece of it. Now, what I do with these intricate background dies, because I do stack them up, so this is 1 layer of white cardstock and a layer of blue cardstock glued together. I just make sure that there's glue all the way around the edges, so none of the edges are gonna peel up, and then I make sure that there are plenty of spots in the center, pretty much evenly spaced out, so that it definitely stays down. But yeah, if you use some strong glue, you definitely don't have to cover each spot with your glue. I'm going to adhere that to a top folding white note card, and then all I have to do is add those press and seal elements on there. I am just going to add some foam tape to the back of them. I am going to add 1 layer of foam tape to the back of the flowers and the back of that sentiment, and then the tail of the bird is also 1 layer of foam tape, and the body of the bird and the head of the bird is going to be 2 layers of foam tape. So it's going to stand up a little bit higher than the other pieces and going to set it apart a little bit more, because the contrast in the colors that I was aiming for isn't as much as I wanted it to be. So just to set it apart just that tiny bit more, I'm adding a 2nd layer of foam tape. I'm also going to add in a spot of black in the pupil of the bird. It's not as noticeable on camera, but it is. I think it made a huge difference, that tiny little dot. I did finish this with some gold gems as well. That's it. I really like this card. I love, love, love this bird. It's so nice with the long tail. I think you can make some amazing cards with it. And the flowers are amazing as always with Alex Syberia Designs. So I hope you like this card. I hope you like the new release. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite product of the release. You can find them all in the link in the description. I will link to the full new release so you can shop there as well. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!